Howdy, folks. Teresa Shields Parker here, just coming at you tonight to talk a little bit about how do you hear God best? You know, I feel like God is always speaking. The problem is we just aren't always listening. Now, this is a truth that I've come to realize really by trial and error, because the problem is, at least for me, the problem always has been that I want the handwriting on the wall, right? I want the voice from heaven. I want the dimensions of the ark. And God does still speak in all of those ways. It's that we are just not ready for him. So, you know, even when King Belshazzar saw the handwriting on the wall and knew it was supernatural, he had no idea what the words meant. He had to, he called for all of the astrologers, all of the soothsayers to try to figure out what it was, what the words were, what they meant, all of that kind of stuff. And nobody could do it. And someone said, hey, what about Daniel? He's well known as someone who hears from God and has interpreted dreams and all of that. He can probably interpret them. And so he called for Daniel, and Daniel comes to talk to him, and the words mene tekel upharsin or whatever that was, and basically you're said that King Belshazzar had been found wanting. He'd been weighed in the balances and found wanting. And then, the rest of that prophecy was that he would be, the nation would be overturned, and King Belshazzar would be destroyed, and he was killed that night, and the new king came in, and the king was the king of the neighboring nation that Daniel had said would overtake them. And then there's Samuel. We all remember Samuel, right? We want God to speak audibly to us like he did in 1 Samuel 3. And in this case, Samuel is just a boy, and he thought the voice of God was his mentor, the priest Eli. And every time that Samuel heard his name called, he ran to Eli. And finally, on the third time, the elderly Eli figured out, hey, this might be God. I remember something. I remember God back when. And he told Samuel, go lie down. If he calls again, say, speak, Lord, your servant is listening. And God told Samuel that he was going to carry out his threats against Eli and his sons who were blaspheming God. And then when the next morning, Eli asked Samuel what God said, and Samuel told him the truth. I don't know if I would have. I guess if God tells you something, you probably better tell the truth about what he said. Samuel got to be known as a prophet, somebody who would speak the truth, and people came to him to hear what God was saying to them. And then there's the whole thing of building the ark. So, God also spoke to Noah. Sorry, not Moses, Noah. I always get those two guys mixed up for some reason. They're nothing alike, though. Okay, so, God gave Noah the exact dimensions of the ark and told him what God was planning to do with this gigantic boat and what he wanted Noah to do with it. It's crazy to me that Noah didn't sit and wonder whether it was God's voice or not. He simply got busy building a boat for an event that might never happen. And that story is in Genesis 6-7. You know, I've heard people excuse away all of the stories in the Bible of how God interacts with man. And even to say that maybe he did it back then, but he doesn't do it today. But I know he does because he's done it in my life. I used to say, if God would give me the exact details like he did Noah, I'd do anything he wants. But that just isn't true. There have been plenty of times that God has told me specific things that I refuse to do. That's just true. Each time I knew it was God, but I just didn't have the faith to act on what he said. I'm going to be talking about some of those times in the next few days as I share some thoughts here in these Facebook Lives. I'm going to talk about how God speaks and in what ways he speaks and how he's spoken to me. But the one story I want to tell you today is about the quarter lady. So there was this one time that I will never forget when God spoke to me. Not a usual time at all, not any time I was expecting God to speak. And I think sometimes God speaks to us when we least expect it, and in a lot of different ways, like I just mentioned. So I had pulled into the grocery store that's near where we live. It's a smaller grocery store that you can get into quickly and out quickly, and has everything you need, but it's just not large like some of the bigger stores. So I was going to run in just, for a few items for supper. I knew exactly what I wanted. And so I'm gathering my purse, to get out of the car. And a woman knocked on my car window. She wasn't shabbily dressed like the man that I saw in front of the store with a can panhandling for change. She had on jeans and a t-shirt, and which both were clean. She looked like any other woman who might be going into the store, but she had kind of a sadness about her. And she says to me, "Do you have a quarter?" I couldn't lie. The windows rolled down. How you have this little pocket sort of where the door handle is, and I always put my change right there. Well, there were a bunch of quarters, and she's standing at the rolled down window, and she can see right in there. I got quarters, okay? And I just said, sure. And I handed her a quarter, and she went inside the store. So, I rolled up the window, locked the car, and went inside, got what I needed, get back to the car, and I got in, put the groceries over on the passenger seat because I only had like one bag. But as I did that, I noticed the car next to me, and it was the quarter lady sitting in the car. I'm going to just be honest here. A bit of anger welled up inside me when I saw what she was doing. She was scratching off a lottery ticket. She used my quarter to help buy the rest of a lottery ticket. So as I watched, I saw the moment that her face fell. She obviously didn't win. She put her head on the steering wheel, and there were tears in her eyes. As I'm watching her, God spoke to me softly, as if whispering in my ear. And he said, "Go talk to her." What? I even said it out loud. Go talk to her. What would I say? You used my quarter to buy a lottery ticket? I'll never give you another quarter again? This is crazy. Go talk to her. Soft and gentle, not angry. I'm like, really, God? What would I say? I have to have something to say. I can't just walk over to the window and stand there and look stupid, okay? And he said, just talk to her. You know how to talk to people, right? And I'm like, no, I don't. Not to her. And I drove away. As I turned onto the street, though, I heard God say, you could have prayed with her. Now, those words arrested me. You know, they grabbed hold of me. I could do that. I could offer to pray with her. I went around and I went back into the lot to the place where her car had been, but quarter lady, panhandling man, and her car were all gone. Now it was me sitting in my car, crying. And I said, God, if you give me another chance, I will talk to whomever you want me to. So I stayed for a few minutes, hoping she'd return, but she didn't. And so I just prayed that God would bring someone else to talk to her wherever she was. I really learned a valuable lesson that day, and I am sure if I had obeyed God's voice, he would have given me the words to help that woman. I might have even found out the real reason that she was looking for extra money, and maybe I would have been able to help her in some way or to share the love of God with her. But I know there was a reason that God put her in my path, but I'll never know until I reach heaven what that was. This not only taught me not to be afraid to talk to those God points out, but to act on what I know God is saying to me. The words of Jesus really did come alive to me that day. I think it's in John 10:27. He says, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. So as a child of God, I am known by him, and he talks to me. If I hear his voice and do what he says, then I am one of his. If I don't, then I am either not his child or I am rebellious and I need to repent. For me, was the latter. I was truly sorry and I repented. So God was really leading me to understand that he really does speak to me. It could be in any number of ways, but I know beyond a shadow of a doubt when it is him. I know his voice, and I also know that whatever he is leading me to do, he will give me the strength to do it. First, though, I have to move my feet. I have to take the first step. This has really been true on my journey of losing more than 250 pounds. He spoke to me about living a healthier life through scripture, through friends, through pastors, through doctors, through coaches, and by his very presence in my life. He always made what he said clear and plain. But I always didn't follow. Still, he continued giving me the same consistent messages. Learning to hear, listen to, and follow God made all the difference in my transformation. Now, there were times I got it wrong, but God was always there to help me turn my failures into successes by learning from them. And I wonder what you all think about that. How has God helped you do some of those same things? You know, those I coach in Overcomers Academy know that I've made pretty much every mistake possible on my weight loss journey. If you know me, you know that. I also have made every excuse why I couldn't go forward or lose weight. But I know God called me to be a weight loss coach because I've been there. I know it's hard, but I also know how easy it becomes when we simply surrender to God. That's the only way I lost weight and kept it off. You know, along the way, I've become a life coach, inner healing coach, even an ordained minister, although I don't really know why I did that, but I am. I coach others like I was coached, with a hug and a swift kick in the backside to get folks headed in the right direction. In other words, I encourage and challenge. But after doing this for over 5 years, I am well aware that people love to come into our community as a member and post about their successes. But few will come in and be honest and post their failures. I can't help those if that just all they do is talk about success, even though I want to hear that too. However, when you fail and then you share, that's when I can help the most. I can help you get back on track towards your goal. I can help you make new plans and develop new habit changes. I can help you ferret out those root issues holding you back. Those root issues just feel like they're holding us hostage sometimes. The truth is, we will always just be going around the same mountain until we embrace our failures. Failure is the best teacher. It teaches us what is not working so we can find what is working. I know many people out there in the world feel like they are the only person that God can't help. I know I was one of them for so many years. I am too far gone, God. You can't help me. If you feel that way, you are wrong. I was wrong. Because you are the exact person God wants to help. You just need a coach and a group and some tools to help you go forward. And thankfully, in Overcomers Academy, we have both of those things, all of those things. So I'll tell you a little bit about Overcomers Academy. We have over 25 courses. Well, we have 25 courses and 200 video lessons in our we call it the Overcomers Dashboard. It's like a video library where you can go in at any time as a member and take any course you want to. But we don't leave you to flounder like that, not knowing which course to take. We have them divided in stages, so that helps you decide. But also, we have the Facebook group. And in that community, we go through a course every week together. I'm not a course. We go through a course together, and I post a video every week that relates to that course. So right now we're finishing up a course called Fear and Failure, which is a great course, and we're really dealing with a lot of those issues that do make us stop in our tracks, but they really should. The failures that we have really should lead us to go forward. Coming up on September 26th which is the last day to enroll in the Overcomers Academy for this upcoming season, we will start our inner healing courses. Now, those are all centered around my books, Sweet Freedom and Sweet Freedom Study Guide. We're going to delve more in depth into those two books and into all of the things that we need in order to really find those emotional roots that are holding us back, emotional roots, mindsets that are faulty, and even spiritual disconnects. The emotional roots and the mindsets lead to spiritual disconnects that we may not even know we have. Why don't I trust God completely? I mean, just like in the story that I told you about the quarter lady, why wouldn't I trust God? I didn't really fully believe that he wouldn't leave me out in the cold, just standing there not knowing what to say. He would have given me the words. And I know that I know that now because I've had enough experiences with him now to understand that and to know that. So anyway, I invite you to come into Overcomers Academy. We have a lot of great things going on. Oh, the third thing that I forgot to tell you is that every month we have a live Q&A where I answer anyone's questions, work with you in front of the group as a group, but whoever's on the call, I work with those individually if they want me to work with them, and we get to the root of stuff. And I love that. That's one of my most favorite things to do, because it's when we get to those roots that we can really begin to understand what's holding us back. Most of us already know what to do. It's not a matter of that, but I do give you tools for that, and I do help you understand that a little bit more. Although I let God lead you into the specific way to eat, I just guide you a little bit in that area. But I'm not giving you a diet, because I don't believe that the diet is the way to change your lifestyle. Habit change is what really, really works. Anyway, the link for Overcomers Academy will be in this, here in this video, up in the top of the video. Once it loads on Facebook, I will put the link to Overcomers Academy. It's teresashield's-parker.com/overcomers-christian-weight-loss-academy if you want to go there now. And that will give you it'll tell you all about our program, and it'll give you the link where you can join. Sweet grace for your journey.